because they use quality siding, insulation, and energy-efficient windows. I fully endorse ABC Seamless. Not only can they beautify your home, they can save you money too. As energy costs keep climbing, put your energy bills in check. Call today and find out how affordable ABC Seamless products can be.
This is CNN.
Parents and kids, I think they should spend more time with each other to get to know each other better.
I was doing the best that I could do, and it just wasn't enough. And I just felt like a failure.
The American family struggling with hard choices in hard times. Welcome to NewsHour from CNN Center in Atlanta. I'm Bobbie Battista.
And in Washington, I'm Reid Collins. Dr. Jack Kevorkian, dubbed Dr. Death for his so-called suicide machine, has been arrested on 2 counts of murder. Kevorkian was arrested in Royal Oak, Michigan, and he's to be arraigned later in the day. Indictments announced just an hour ago follow the October suicides of 2 women. The Oakland County, Michigan grand jury handed up 2 murder indictments against Dr. Kevorkian and 1 count of delivery of a controlled substance. The county's prosecutor, Richard Thompson, says the women died using Kevorkian's machine.
Today, a special focus on the challenge of hauling the United States out of its economic slump. For many, an overriding concern is how to cope, how to put dinner on the table when money and resources are scarce. The Bush administration says its proposed tax cuts would put more money in the pockets of American consumers. But some Democrats who testified this morning before the House Ways and Means Committee disagree.
The average worker seeing friends and relatives laid off by our biggest companies after decades of dedicated employment is rightfully terrified about where the axe will fall next. Putting $6 a week in the back pocket of someone earning $40,000 a year is not going to jumpstart the economy again, rebuild aging production facilities, or make America competitive. Let's not kid ourselves.
Schumer says tax measures alone will not trigger long-term economic growth. He says what's needed are behavioral changes in U.S. households, corporations, and in the government. Well, as Congress grapples with how to get this economy going, families grapple with how to make ends meet. Today's parents are often forced to choose between spending time with their children and spending time at work. In today's report on the People's Agenda, special assignment correspondent Brooks Jackson looks at the American family on the edge.
WBAL News Time, it's 6:08.
Daddy's got to go to work.
But I'll see you at lunchtime.
It's daybreak in Baltimore. For most families, the beginning of the working day.
Bye, Justin.
The end of family time.
It's just a matter. It's certainly been the most important thing in my life. And finding that you just don't have the time, or you can't make the time for the most important thing in your life, it's a hard choice to make. I feel bad because I work every day and it's just not enough money for the things that they really need.
I don't know whether it is better, our new roles of working and all, because are the kids going to be suffering from it?
Oh, sweetie, it's okay. Oh.
This is the American family today, on the edge. In this election year, parents are feeling forced to choose between spending enough time with their children or providing them with a decent standard of living.
I'm going to take one animal outside.
Okay. I think the government doesn't recognize, to a large extent, what's going on in this country. That the new middle class cannot survive, cannot buy a home, can't buy clothes for their kids, cannot feed their families on one income. And that's the reality today.
One of the things I talked to you a little bit about before, remember we were talking about ego?
Claudia Morell, like 2/3 of mothers in the U.S., has a job outside the home.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.
So she can spend some daytime hours with her children, Claudia takes part-time teaching jobs, often at night and at low pay.
I have to scramble. That's the price I pay to be here when my kids come home from school. So they tell me how they did in school, not somebody else.
And working parents pay another price, loss of family time, of time with each other.
Have a good day.
Chris Morrell works full-time as an assistant professor.
At most, we spend an hour together, then one of us is off. The rest of the day is just rushing around.
Nearly 2/3 of working parents say they spend too little time with their children. Even on Halloween night, Claudia Morrell had to work.
Trick or treat!
It's always hard to leave your kids, but it's particularly hard when you're having to do it on holidays.
We'll say trick or treat now.
I want to see them, the joy and the feelings, and I want to share all that with them, and I can't.
Am I lucky or what?
There's too much work here for just one person.
This isn't the typical American family anymore. This isn't my mother staying home with the kids. You know, this is kind of the new American family, and it worries me because I don't know that I can do this forever. I don't think it's the best thing for the kids.
Less, worried about finding good child care, worried about losing their jobs if they take time off to care for children themselves. More than half of all Americans think government should be doing more to help families. And the fact is, most other industrial nations do much more for working parents than the United States, where families are pretty much on their own.
Where are you? Are you in there?
Working parents in more than 100 countries around the world get time off from their jobs when they have a baby, with pay, but not in the U.S.
I think those things should be legislated, that if your child gets sick or if you're having a child, the parents can take off without fear, with knowing that they're going to come back to a job.
Another word, child care. More than 8 out of 10 Americans say all families should be able to get quality child care, and that employers and government ought to help pay for it.
I can't understand why a country as great as ours can't throw a lifeline to some women who are paying so much to help the economy anyway. I think government, federal and state, could have come up with solutions a long time ago, but they've chosen to ignore them because it's cheaper, it's easier, and it's politically probably sound, not rocking the boat.
I worry about those children all the time.
I have a test today and I learned something new in math.
Meet Mary Ward, a divorced working mother, raising 3 boys on her own.
I worry about them growing up, especially in the society, with only one parent.
About 1/4 of all children in America now live with only one parent, twice as many as 20 years ago. Tim Ward is 11 years old. After school, he comes home to an empty house.
I thought my oldest son was doing great in school. Well, he is flunking every subject but phys ed. And it's just because he did not take the time to bring his homework home, did not copy his homework. He just didn't take the time to do what he was supposed to do.
And don't stop the play on the way!
Mary Ward's 2 younger children, Greg, 8, and Johnny, 6, are kept by a neighbor. After-school programs are not available. Daycare is too expensive.
Everybody hungry?
The evenings are hard because when I come home from work, it's dinner right away.
Greg, do you want a piece of butter bread?
Right after dinner is I put the dishes in the sink and they sit, and we start homework. Are you going to have to know where each country is on a blank map?
I guess, yeah.
There's not enough time in the evening for the children.
Okay, who's next?
Come on. We do the homework and it's on to the next one. When that one's done, it's the next one.
You got a lot tonight, babe?
There's no time for closeness.
Very good.
They miss that. I know that they miss that.
9.
Beautiful.
Parents and kids, I think they should spend more time with each other to get to know each other better.
5 + 4.
Besides the emotional strain of not having time together, there is the financial crunch. More than 1 out of every 4 divorced women are in poverty. Mary Ward is not poor, but she does have to struggle.
After all my bills, my monthly bills are paid, I'll have about $10, $15 at the most a week.
Parents like Mary Ward don't get much help from a government still geared to a family ideal that's no longer the norm. She was actually discouraged from working to support herself. When her marriage broke up, she earned only $14,000 a year. She asked for food stamps to help feed her boys. The government said her car was worth too much and turned her down.
What they were basically telling me was to quit my job, not have a car, and be dependent totally on them. I was devastated because I was really counting on that help, and it wasn't there. I was doing the best that I could do, and it just wasn't enough. And I just felt like a failure.
Mary Ward and her boys survived.
Love you.
Her parents took them in until she found a better paying job. But even now, she just makes it week to week.
People that are going out and working every day, trying to make ends meet. There just doesn't seem to be any help for those people. People like me.
I'm Brooks Jackson, CNN Special Assignment.
On tomorrow's segment of the People's Agenda, the soaring cost of health care and the strain that it is putting on the American family.
Well, President Bush spent part of this morning promoting his economic rescue plan for the nation. First, Republican congressional leaders updated him about how the plan is getting received on Capitol Hill. After that meeting, Mr. Bush spoke to the Small Business Legislative Council. Some Democrats have been ripping into the president's economic plan as inadequate. Today, Republican Senator Phil Gramm of Texas accused the Democrats of trying to poison the president's plan in order to promote their own agenda.
A hostage standoff in Pennsylvania is over. A reporter at the scene says the gunman is in custody and no shots were fired. Police say 29-year-old Jeffrey Thomas arrived at a school for troubled youth in Latrobe this morning, armed with a high-caliber rifle or a shotgun. It is believed he was holding 4 adults hostage. There were apparently no students among the hostages. Police say he was looking for his estranged wife, a teacher at the school, but apparently was unable to find her. Coming up on NewsHour, a deadly fire disrupts the rape trial of boxer Mike Tyson. And people sneaking into the U.S. from Mexico are trying a bold and dangerous tactic. We'll tell you how immigration agents are trying to stop them.
Before you really buy something, you should thoroughly investigate it. I took a chance this time and try to save a couple of dollars.
I found that the service wasn't there. So I went to AT&T and stayed with AT&T.
I don't want gimmicks. I want a long-distance phone company I can count on.
If you miss dealing with the long-distance company you can depend on, it's easy to come back to AT&T. Call 1-800-392-6999 and we'll switch you for free.
And I've tried every long-distance phone company that's out there.
After a few months, I said, forget it. I'm giving up on it. And I wanted to switch back to AT&T.
Or use your credit card.
This is CNN.
Humanitarian or killer, Dr. Jack Kevorkian indicted on murder charges.
We don't want anybody to be killed. If that person continues to run free on the highway, somebody may hit them.
Wild in the streets, illegal migrants make a mad dash into the USA.
An 11-year-old girl fights a rare disease. It is turning exactly half her body hard as stone. This is Newsday. I'm Sharyl Attkisson.
I'm Lou Waters. Hello. Suicide machine inventor Dr. Jack Kevorkian is scheduled to be arraigned in a Michigan courtroom any time now. Among the charges against him, 2 counts of murder. Kevorkian is an outspoken and active proponent of doctor-assisted suicide. Prosecutors say he's a killer.
The medical examiner ruled that it was homicide. After that ruling, there was no alternative that we had, even if we wanted to, just to drop the case. The process had to go forward. And what is important today to acknowledge is that the process did go forward in a uniquely democratic institution, the grand jury composed of members of the public who heard the evidence, decided that Dr. Kevorkian violated the law.
The charges stem from the deaths of 2 women, Sherry Miller and Marjorie Wantz. Miller and Wantz were found dead last October, attached to do-it-yourself suicide devices invented by Kevorkian. After their deaths, Kevorkian released a videotape of a meeting in which he explained to the 2 women how the machines worked.
You're going to have to do this together. You're going to have to do this together. One arm will be tied down. I have an arm board that's comfortable and it's got padded. And we'll tie the arm down so you don't jerk it or move it with a needle in your arm. And then we bring needles.
It will be put here.
Well, wherever we've got good. How are your veins, bud?
My veins.
I know Sherry's got excellent veins.
Mine are terrible here. They poke me out 5 times. Right here.
Okay, that's where it'll be. That's why we want your arm to be tied down. You just pull the ring. You pull a string.
A string.
And that opens a valve.
Okay.
First of all, you reach up and turn off the salt solution with Sherry's hand attached to you. You turn off the salt.
So we're not going to be doing just pushing a button?
No, because there's no electricity.
Oh.
So you just turn off the salt solution by turning the little wheel. It's easy.
You'll be telling us.
I'll tell you all this. And then you reach into this ring, you and Sherry, you pull the ring. Okay. And you hold the arm out like that with Sherry. Okay. You hold the arm out, straight out, up, right?
Okay.
And that ring will, you've cut the saline off, that ring turns on the hypnotic, the sedative solution, which will put you to sleep within 20 seconds, 25 seconds, as soon as it gets into your veins. And then when you're asleep and sleepy, your arm will drop, and you open a 3rd valve.
Prosecutors say Miller and Wantz both suffered chronic, not terminal illnesses. In 1990, you'll recall, Kevorkian was charged with first-degree murder after helping an Alzheimer's patient inject herself with a fatal dose of drugs. That charge was dismissed.
A delay in the forced return of Haitian refugees is now over. A State Department official says 2 boatloads of Haitian refugees will be allowed to dock in Haiti tomorrow morning. Coast Guard boats began carrying Haitians from Guantanamo Bay to Haiti last week. But the operation was delayed today when the Haitian government complained it couldn't handle the sudden influx of returning immigrants. 2 Coast Guard boats carrying about 500 Haitians waited off the Haitian coast today while U.S. and Haitian officials held talks to resolve the impasse. Another immigration drama is unfolding at the U.S.-Mexican border. Illegal aliens there are literally making a mad dash from Mexico into the U.S. They have successfully foiled Border Patrol agents by running headlong into highway traffic. Paul Bloom explains the bold new tactic and how the Border Patrol is responding.
This is the problem. Hundreds, even thousands of illegal migrants have found a new pathway to U.S. soil. Alien smugglers are now directing migrants to dash north through the southbound Mexican port of entry gates. The aliens then meet up with smugglers farther up the highway. U.S. border agents will not go into speeding traffic to try and capture them.
Our number one concern is we don't want anybody to be killed. If that person continues to run free on the highway, somebody may hit them.
The Border Patrol has now brought in dozens of extra agents, and starting Thursday, they will form a human barrier to the aliens who try to run north on the southbound freeway.
As officers continuously physically present on the border will deter people from trying to enter. If anybody does enter, they'll be arrested.
It could be argued, I suppose, that border officials brought this latest problem on themselves. After all, they've been building this big steel fence the length of the border. And that means that illegal aliens aren't being shipped by van or car as much anymore. Those people who want to go north are doing it on foot.
This activity is organized. The people are only there because the smugglers bring them there. If they find they can't enter here, they'll be out of business.
Border officials say they'll have to slow traffic on southbound 5, squeeze it into 2 lanes to make the chase safer for officers.
That's a funnel that we can stop. There'll also be an officer in front of that funnel should it become necessary, we can make that whole zone vehicle-free very quickly.
That sounds a little like a traffic jam to me.
Well, it may very well come to that.
The alien crackdown and the traffic slowdown will start Thursday morning at 10.
U.S. officials say the San Diego sector of the border accounts for about half of all illegal entries into the U.S.
In Indianapolis, a deadly hotel fire has forced a delay in Mike Tyson's rape trial. The fire was the hotel in which the 15 jurors in the Tyson trial were sequestered. They were safely evacuated, though, some in their bedclothes, and moved to an undisclosed location. However, 2 firefighters and 1 hotel guest were killed. 12 other people were hurt. Investigators believe an electrical short caused the fire. Tyson appeared briefly at the courthouse this morning, but he left without comment. After learning the judge had postponed today's session, the trial is expected to resume tomorrow morning. In the meantime, sheriff's deputies are beefing up security at that courthouse. Among the steps being taken, adding a metal detector outside the courtroom and bringing in a bomb-sniffing dog to search the courtroom and nearby offices.
No more delay, no more substitutes. That message from President Bush to Congress today. Mr. Bush urged members of the Small Business Legislative Council to deliver it. In a speech to the group today, the president said quick passage of his economic growth plan is critical to starting a new American economic revolution. He has asked Congress to act on it by March 20th, but Democrats say what Mr. Bush will get will be far different from what he proposed. While Mr. Bush was speaking, there was a protest across town at the White House. The demonstrators are striking members of the Oil, Chemical, and Atomic Workers Union involved in a dispute with the government's uranium enrichment facility in Ohio.
Still ahead on CNN Newsday, a rare disease afflicts a young girl. The muscles of half her body are turning to bone.
Not in my backyard. Folks in Needles, California say don't stick us with new...
Comes out approach to Washington. Pat Buchanan.
And otters devour fishing profits along the California coast. Fishermen say it's them or us.
Hollywood Pictures presents Sean Connery in an explosive adventure.
I found a cure for the plague of the 20th century, and now I've lost. What? Haven't you ever lost anything? Now you have it, now you don't.
From the director of Die Hard and The Hunt for Red October.
We need help. Don't you presume to tell me how to follow up.
He turned his back on civilization only to discover he had the